I'll go ahead and kick us off. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first in the Flywire and NAAIS summer series. Today, we're going to be focusing on how to prepare to study abroad, some tips and tricks for how to get the most out of your college experience. This will be a three-part webinar series. So we're really hoping that you can get some quality content out of this. And here's some more casual stories rather than kind of the checklist items that you might be used to from universities or agents or what you might see online. So make sure throughout this whole process that you've got your QR scanner ready. We've got a lot of really helpful resources and links throughout this. So now I will introduce our two speakers for the day. So today's speakers are Sudhanshu Kaushik. He's the Executive Director of the North American Association of Indian Students, NAAIS, and Vivekanand Bhatt. He's a Senior Payments Manager here at Flywire, and he'll be talking a little bit later in the presentation. And we'll go to the next slide, and I'll tell you a little bit about what you can expect. So today we're going to cover some of the opportunities for Indian students in the United States and Canada. Then we're going to get a little bit into the impact of COVID-19 on the study abroad experience, wrapping it with preparing to study abroad in the US. So things you need to know related specifically to visas and healthcare and travel plans. And finally, we've got a special offer for everybody attending this webinar. So stay tuned to the end to get that, as well as a raffle for some gift cards, Amazon gift cards at the end. And Vivek will be mentioning the Flywire scholarship that we've got. So again, have your QR code scanner ready. We've got a lot, and I'm really excited to hand it off to Sudhanshu.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Wilson. Hey, everyone. Hope everyone can hear me. I do have terrible internet, but I'll try to be quick and seamless with this and hope you guys take away as you're starting your journey. So one of the coolest things that I like to do, and normally if this wasn't a panel discussion, I would actually just ask you all who these people are. Thankfully, Wilson has done us the hard work as he's named them, but also given their positions. But these are, 5 out of the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of really successful Indians in the United States. What I think is super interesting, though, and these are the things that we kind of talk about in our tour, is that all 5 of these people, right? Many of them are leaders or used to be leaders of Fortune 500 companies. People are representatives and politicians, etc. But not too long ago, we're all in the same kind of place that you all are at. The CEO of Microsoft, the CEO of Alphabet, Google, the CEO of Twitter, a U.S. House representative, were all part of and potentially even attending some sort of event to help them prepare for their transition to the United States and or Canada. And I love talking about this because this is the scope. This is the potential of opportunities that is available for Indian students studying abroad in North America. And that's what really excites me about the work that I do, is that if we're able to prepare you all, if we're able to give you the understanding and the resources, and I don't want to beat around the bush that studying, working, and making it this far as these 5 people have is tough. It's convoluted. There's a lot of things that get in the way, but the value add is that once you do make it, the opportunities are boundless. And that's what really excites me. And I hope that hopefully in the next 5-10 years, as many of you go to the United States and Canada to study, that we can put you into this little group of all the successful students or people who studied and started off as students. So again, all 5 of these people, whether it's Pepsi, whether it's Alphabet, or in the case of Twitter, only 3 years ago, all these students were almost at a very similar place as you all are. In fact, Parag Agrawal, before and actually during when he was announced as CEO of Twitter, was actually on his H-1B. And just to tell you the scale of which all this is happening is super interesting. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So look, opportunities for Indian students in the US and Canada, I believe, are boundless. It's an incredible opportunity, an incredible place, an incredible country, both to study, to use your education to make a positive impact. I think that the institutions truly invest in students, and I think the environment, in most cases, is super productive for those who want to settle abroad. That being said, it's not easy, once again. Can we go to the next slide? And what I mean by that is that you have to make your opportunities too. While you've been given this incredible opportunity to study, I'm assuming many of you have already received your admit letter. You're in the process of your I-20. So normally what people would say is that you've done the hard work, you've gotten the admit letter. Unfortunately, I believe, and I'm here to tell you something differently, is that the actual hard work starts now. The fact is that while you've received your admit letter, while you've taken your tests, written your SOPs, while you've gone through the applications and waited, at this moment, getting an admission into a US institution, while it's commendable, they want you, right? But what happens now is how you acclimate, how you transition, how you understand the US and Canadian higher education system, career, workforce, you name it. And there's so much convolutedness. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of back and forth, and there's no clear way to actually understand what's happening. Now, sure, you have your consultancies, you have your agents, you have people to learn and take an opportunity to understand, okay, this is what I need to get there. But once you're there, what happens, right? You're going there with a calculated kind of mindset of, hey, I've taken loans. Hey, I've, risked all this opportunity, and I need to make it count. I need to get that job. I need to do well in school. I need to pursue further education. I need to settle abroad. All these things are in the back of your mind while also trying to make sure you can actually adjust to the United States and if you actually like it or not. So I think that one of the biggest things is that you have to make your opportunities for you. And I know you'll hear that a lot, and especially with the application process, but I mean that in a practical sense, right? And when I say that, I'm giving you tangible options of, for example, career paths and immigration benefits for STEM. So most of you know what STEM is, but did you also know that STEM isn't necessarily a hardcore kind of by the cookie cutter, black and white option for universities? The fact is that the Department of Homeland Services has 90 different area studies, meaning that you necessarily don't have to just study computer science, or you don't have to study economics. Right now you have the option to get STEM access from studying sociology, psychology, even animal husbandry. Department of Homeland Services counts. And I mean to say, and why I say this and share this with you, is that if you believe, or if you are doing a course of study that doesn't have STEM right now, but it has a lot of value and has a lot of classes with STEM, you can actually petition your college and university, and they can in turn petition the Department of Homeland Services. And it's a very quick and easy step process to be able to get a STEM option for the degree that you're pursuing, right? So that's what I mean by making your options for you, because if that's the case, most of you probably, or some of you who aren't pursuing a STEM degree, probably would have just been okay with that 1 year OPT. But the fact that you can get 2 additional years just by trying to move the needle by asking, and this kind of stuff is promoted in the United States. So once again, I love talking about this fact is that you have to make these opportunities for you. The same thing goes for career as well as career paths, right? You have to make sure that you're really understanding how to network in the United States, right? Jobs won't be given to you regardless of if you graduate from the top of the top computer science program or some random school in the middle of Alabama. You have to make sure that you're networking. You have to make sure that you're going out there. You're using LinkedIn really well, which I believe a lot of young Indians do so, but also understanding the referral system, right? And making sure that there are cultural nuances that you understand as you're networking, right? You can't just send someone a random LinkedIn message and say, hey, I need a referral. I see that you work there. We're both from Punjab. Can you please give me a referral? Stuff like that doesn't work, right? You have to play to their strengths and you have to play to their ego to be able to build a relationship to get that referral. And by the way, 90% of all final job offers in the United States for graduating students are made on a referral service, meaning that someone in that company knows you, vouches for you, and recommends you to the job, right? So trying to make sure that you don't start at the end of your career tenure when you're looking for a job, but you start now. You start even before you get in, trying to understand the scope and scale, because while you think some of you will be going on a 2-year program, maybe a year and a half, sometimes 9 months, that time will go by so quickly. And you need to be prepared. You need to make sure that it's well worth it. So please, 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 build those opportunities for you. Next slide. So one thing that we really are focusing on, and a larger tour that we're doing in India as NAAIS, is because of COVID-19. You all know, we're all familiar that COVID-19 has been a big disruption, whether it's to the admission processes, whether it's because or towards the visa, whether it's the US or Canada at this point, offerings, the timeline. COVID-19 has disrupted that model. What it's also done is in colleges and universities really made it a lonely experience, right? People were taking Zoom classes. People didn't have that campus college life. We were limited to digitally meeting people, and physically, the idea of student life, which Canada and the United States are really famous and well reputed for, was non-existent, right? So that student experience, especially for international students, has been impacted. Before COVID, you had opportunities to understand, to really engage with different people, to be able to kind of pick up on things and learn while you're going through your orientation process, while you have those 10, 15 days of settling in and meeting these people and understanding the culture, the way things work. But COVID-19 has really disrupted that. And so you're going to be at a backhanded, kind of a disadvantage in terms of being able to expand as much as you could have. Now, things are getting back to normal, but one thing that we want to do is, at least with all the technicalities, especially understanding the systems, what if we prepare you beforehand so you can have an ease of mind going into school and starting there, so that you know some of this stuff, you're familiar with this sort of stuff, and that you can be really prepared for that aspect. So COVID-19, I think, has been a big, big player in terms of disrupting that student experience. And it's, inversely impacted our mental health, our physical health, but also just our successes. So many students who had this kind of ambition and hope to be able to stay in the United States, and they had all the capability, they had the personality, they had the intellect, they had the job offer. But COVID-19, because of the situations around it, had to come back, right? So again, I'm just trying to explain the fact that there has been a disruption, and there are ways to kind of work through it, and hopefully we will get to normalcy in a period of time. And we go more into detail about this in our tour, in our in-person events that we're doing all across India for admitted students. Next slide, please. But we want to give you a little bit of a taste. We want you to understand and kind of be prepared in terms of what exactly can you expect. Again, you are going to be overwhelmed. most international students have 2 or 3 days of orientation in which you have to learn everything from your OPT to how many times you have to update your I-20 to understand, exactly the culture, society, context, education, literally enroll in classes, to getting your textbooks, to, figuring out how to work your cell phone, to get a bank account, to, even finding a home, all in those really 2 or 3 days in a new society, in a new culture, obviously in a new country, in a new setting and context. So it can get super, super overwhelming. Some of the things that we want to equip you with starts from the visa process. So next slide. As many of you know, you're part of this process already, I'm assuming, is you've received your acceptance letter, right? And in the US, what you have to do is as soon as you receive the acceptance letter, the college sends you the I-20. The I-20 is your holy doctrine, right? You have to maintain it. It's basically a living, breathing document. It's not just that you just submit it and then you're done with, because every time you go back and forth in the country, anytime you get a job in the country, anytime that you're working as a volunteer or outside, you constantly have to update your I-20. And who does that? You and your international student office. So make sure that you understand the value of the I-20 and how it is a living, breathing document, that anything that happens in your life when it comes to your education and career, there's a high chance that you have to update that and keep in constant touch with that. The Canada counterpart is you get the acceptance letter, you pay the tuition. After that, and obviously for the I-20, you have to pay the deposit for US. For the US, you pay your fees and complete your visa application that you'll receive. For Canada, you apply for the GIC and complete the visa application as well. Then for Canada, you get the medical evaluation and submit the biometrics. For the US aspect, you're going through the visa interview, you're submitting your biometrics as well at the US consulate, and then you both wait for that coveted visa approval. So in terms of this, in the structure, I think you are all in midst of it. And in person, when we do these events at the tour, we try to break these down to make sure you're not making those mistakes. For example, really preparing for visa interview questions. I cannot tell you how many people go unprepared and answer those questions in a terrible manner in which that, unfortunately, does not get them approved for their visa. So we try to equip people with that understanding, but also knowing that, this is one part. Just because you've gotten your visa and you've gotten, a way to enter the United States, doesn't mean that you're all set, right? There are things that you have to constantly keep doing periodically to make sure that you maintain your visa status, maintain your student status, and that you're a legal a person living in the United States or Canada. So we want to go into that, obviously, for the sake of time. I thought this generic timeline would be much better. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so one thing that we really want to focus on, healthcare in the United States and also Canada. It's so convoluted. Honestly, it's so messed up. And I think that you should all be prepared, because as for students studying in the United States, you basically have 3 options, right? The university healthcare, right? Which is mad expensive. There are limitations to it, right? But it's the most convenient, right? It's attached to your student bill. You can get away with it. Then you have the option of out of state for most college, out of kind of university for most colleges. Some colleges don't allow that, but still. And the third, which not a lot of colleges allow, is for you to just do your own thing. But for international students, you need to have healthcare, right? That is a basically requisite for you to enroll in classes, is that you're able to do that and that you've paid that off. But healthcare in itself, once you have that, can be so convoluted. In network, out of network, what are these things that you're supposed to be paying? How much is your deduction? What are all these things? That's something that we actually try to explain and break down there, and I'll explain more in detail about the healthcare on the next slide. But there's also very simple things. Actually, can we go back 1 second? There's a lots of simple things that people don't understand. So for example, if you're sick, a lot of students carry their own medicine from India. But medicines expire, or they might not be the best suited for what you're feeling at that point, right? People are too scared because medicine and pharmaceutical companies charge so much to even see you, to offer you medicine, whatever it is, right? Medicine costs a lot of money, but thankfully, over-the-counter drugs are still cheap comparatively. But people don't understand what exactly they need. So we have these options, and while in our tour, but also beyond that, we kind of give comparisons so you're prepared, right? So for example, if you have fever-reducing muscle aches, pains, right? You'll need Tylenol, ibuprofen. But people don't really know what Tylenol or ibuprofen are, right? But Indians know what paramecital is, right? And going down in these different Indian medication comparatives, you have the American medicine and then what you need for them, so you can easily get them at a gas station, at Duane Reade, at a Walmart, at a Target, etc. These are called over-the-counter medicines. All of this in detail. Next slide, please. We explain. So if you can use your cameras to scan this document, you'll basically be able to take away this entire free healthcare guide. It's about 75 to 80 pages. And yes, there's a lot of information there, but there's a lot of easy to read graphs so that all of you can be equipped to understand that, hey, if I'm sick and I don't know what to do and I'm really scared about the cost, I can easily get that from here, right? So trying to just make it as easy as possible. It explains the entire aspect of healthcare pretty seamlessly in that way. Next slide. Awesome, Vivek.
Hi, everyone. So I'm happy to share with you, start with the 2022 Flywire Charitable Foundation scholarships. This year, again, we have 8 scholarships for $5,000 each. They'll be awarded to students who, under each of the following categories, which is global health, social justice, global citizenship, and environmental sustainability. So you'll be able to apply under any one of these topics, and no more, just scan the QR or go to scholarships.flywire.com. The deadline for this submission is 17th of June, 11:59 p.m. EST. Another interesting proposition that Flywire has got for the Indian students is that is the Forex card. This is a Forex card that is launched in association with EbixCash, and this is powered by HDFC Bank. So now, what exactly is a Forex card? Forex card is over-the-counter prepaid card, which is loaded in USD, CAD, and other currencies, a total of over 16 currencies. This is a globally recognized Visa-denominated card, and this works just like your regular debit or a credit card, works with an ATM pin, works at shops, ATMs, and online, and is activated before you land in the US or Canada. So you will be able to start managing your expenses without carrying cash or carrying minimal cash, and using this to manage your daily expenses. This card can be reloaded at any point of time once you're abroad, or even when you're in India, with additional funds as and when you need it in the quickest possible time. Besides the other advantages, the main advantage is this is the safest way to carry cards. In case you lose your baggage, you lose your wallet, you don't need to worry. Your cards, your funds are secured because it's a PIN-backed card, and the risk on the card is as equivalent to the amount that is there on the card. So you isolate yourself from your total bank account. This card is also insured against misuse and frauds, so that helps you back your savings or your expenses, the money that you save for your expenses, against frauds and misuse. In case you lose your cards and in case of emergencies, there's a global support line that you'll be able to call, and they'll be able to help you out with things like emergency cash and replacement card. This card is valid for a period of 5 years from the date of issue, and as I mentioned, is a chip-enabled card. So you can get your card at zero issuance charges. And how do you get your card? All you need to do is log on to remittance.flywire.com and get this card for as little as $300 or its equivalent. We have an exciting promotional giveaway for people attending this webinar and the future webinars. As Vincent mentioned, this is a 3-part webinar series. So we'll have 5 1,500 rupee Amazon gift cards as giveaways. So every webinar you attend, you'll be eligible for 1 entry. So if you attend all 3 webinars, you'll be eligible for 3 entries, and through a raffle at the end of the total and at the end of 3 webinars, you'll be eligible to participate in a raffle where you can win an Amazon gift card for 1,500. So ensure that you attend the next 2 webinars, and also please share this link with your friends and family who are interested to know more about this session. The upcoming webinars, we have 2 upcoming webinars, one on the 15th of June. This is on tips on arriving and financial success. So the first part of the webinar spoke about opportunities and preparing yourself before you landed on the shores. Once you arrive in the US, the second webinar will talk about how to manage your finances and tips for arriving in the US and Canada. And the second webinar, which is on the 29th of June, talks about more about how to live your life in the US and what you can do so that you can maximize your stay in the US. So ensure you sign up for the next upcoming webinars. Here's a QR code. You can just scan them, and you'll be able to sign up for the next 2 webinars. Sudhanshu?
Last thing for me, for all of you all to prepare, is that you're about to go to a whole new environment in the United States and Canada. You might have family, friends that have gone there, people that you look up to, and mentors. Here's the reality. It's, again, pretty tough to get acquainted, to understand what's happening. What we want to do is provide you, a safety net. Now, Flywire is incredible in terms of wanting to do these workshops, these presentations and these webinars for you to understand. So are your consultancies. But what happens when you're in the United States or Canada? Whom do you have to look into to help support, etc., outside of your college, university, which tend to be really busy? So the NAAIS is there for you. We are a nonprofit. All you have to do is join us. It's free membership, and we provide everything from legal help to food and rental assistance to helping you and setting you up for your career with referral services, and also just community. We host happy hours, Bollywood events, we conduct seminars and speeches, all in sake of just trying to make sure that people all across the United States and Canada can meet one another, can engage, learn, and help each other out. So please do look forward to meeting up. We're going to be doing a few events with Flywire in the upcoming semester, and just be able to learn and make sure you're obviously taking what you are at your campus, but getting to know people from all across the country is something that we're really going for.
So thank you, everyone.